tax matters in simple and practical way. On today's show, we focus on the 2026 tax incentives. And to help us look at that, in studio with me is PELONE CHISANGA and WAPAKULUKWELA PHIRI from the Zambia Revenue Authority, who are going to help us talk about the topic of focus today. Wapa and PELONE, good to have you on Tax Chat.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Happy to be here, Alice.
Thank you. To begin with, today we are talking about the 2026 tax incentives. Kindly explain to us what these incentives are and why the government has introduced them.
So tax incentives are a special provision by the government that is provided for by the tax system or tax laws. You know, this helps the government to defer, to reduce, or to completely remove tax for certain people, businesses, and activities. So in simple terms, what we are saying is that the tax incentives, they are rewards offered through the tax system to encourage desired economic behavior and tax compliance. So lero tulanda pa busuma bwa misonko. So busuma bwa misonko ni shape. So this can take lower tax rates, tax exemptions, tax deduction or allowances, or tax holidays. Sometimes it could be zero rating or relief on specific taxes. Instead of it comes up with these provisions through the law where they are able to benefit from these deferments, the tax holidays. Yes, please.
Okay. Wapa, PELONE has actually explained to us about Bali tax incentives kutini chani. Kapela ungatirondorereko Bali why yali important and why the country actually holds these the importance of these tax incentives.
Okay, so Nalanda Tama tax incentives are very important. There are a lot of reasons why they're important, and one of them is that they promote foreign investment. So ngakwaba yali incentives yali afuirisha okutira abantu bera kwata sana ma burdens palabade chita ma business yabo. It means there will also be foreign investors that will look into our country. Baraisa nomba babike mpia kuma industries, babike mpia ma manufacturers, and this will help our economy grow. That is one of the reasons. Another reason is that it also supports businesses. Bari abantu akwete ama shopu imbareshi chako fya kwala bareshi chef ya kulyaba ama restaurants bari kwaba tax incentives. It means that yali yakala bafurisha kutira bena wera umfakati bakalabikire shingi mpya kuli government because of the same tax incentives that are there, allowing them to do their businesses more smoothly. So it will help them because there will be higher tax-free thresholds. I can give an example of turnover tax. In 2025, threshold yali lower, but this time they've increased that threshold to 2,500. So it means once upon a turnover tax, they have got exemption, which is equivalent to 2,500 kwacha. Then another importance of tax incentives is they promote employment. Particularly investors, and people are able now to expand in industries and manufacturing. It means that there will be skill development. There will be more organizations and companies in the country. So this will allow for employment. Another importance is that it's also there to support strategic sectors. Incentives they are directed towards the manufacturing companies and industries. They are directed, for instance, auto to water utility companies. So these will help in the long-term investment and the benefit targeted industries. Another importance is they encourage voluntary compliance. I think in the episode there last week we were talking about a voluntary disclosure program. So through our tax incentives, abantu number bakalaisa fe kuntashaga ne bayipera fye bachita fyonso ndenshiro fo barindiro kuyipera kuri ba ZRA bachita on time. So through these tax incentives, it means that there will be more compliance. And then the last thing I can speak to is economic growth. When businesses invest more, nama households na yene akala kwata ko disposable income. So this means that this is going to increase our jobs and it will strengthen our tax revenues over time as a country.
Okay. Kukamba papa small business PELONE incentives. What incentives are available kuli ma small business and ma landlords muri year 2026?
Okay, just like WAPA has said, there's been an increase in the threshold that taxpayers are able to benefit from. So the small businesses bajabali na tumanyumba renting last year 2025 the law provided that they benefit from a 1,000 kwacha per month as a law incentive, as an incentive for them to pay tax. So tax in Zambia, anything above 1,000, that's why they were able to pay that tax. So now we are saying from that 1,000 there's been an increase, and this increase is 2,500. So ngati muli na manyumba renting is a 3.5. What that means is that mucho samo 2.5 ija 2.5 inkala tax at 0%. So kuyambira 2.5 kwenda pamwamba ndiye peti zachita apply ija tax rate for that particular property. It's the same with turnover tax. If you are making 2,000 kwacha in a month and you declare that 2,000 kwacha in the month, you will discover that when it shows how much tax you are supposed to pay, the tax will be 0 because you are still within that threshold of 2,500. So when you make anything above 2,500, that is where the tax will be applied. That is a very beautiful incentive. So timichitani encourage my business owners. Kosa kamba tinichaka business kangono ya ini chabena tumidadada so sinienekela kubwela kuzedara bwelani so that muchite benefit from these tax incentives.
I think yambeka apoko so raja mene baina ma nyumba mene badipirisa below 2.5 mungakambepo bwanji maybe weve na weve bashite understand olokumankalako maybe bangangale na manyumba yakuti ilikwinangu or maybe na inangu ilikwinangu but mtengo maybe ni inangu ni 2.5 inangu ili below 2.5.
So whether bali na manyumba ya mbili in different places with different prices or rental amounts. So zapeza katvenangu kuchawama but it is a 500. Ku kalingalinga kulika 1,000. Ku woodlands kuli 3.5. So pochita declare vaya faka pamozi vaya pendera pamozi yonse. So tizapenda ngati yapeze kati ni 5,000 for example total from all these different places. Tifaka pamozi tikaifaka pamozi then tizacho support 2,500. Ija tizafaka po 0%, tizachita tax at 0%. Ija 2,500 yapa mwamba manji ndiye pepa zankala tax. So tibawoza kuti olo mulipirisa 500 or 200 kule tumanyumba 200 bwelani lembesani kulembesani kwa bwino tufanga simuza lembesa nishi simuza chita benefit from all these incentives that the government has put in place. So we are encouraging them to formalize their business, formalize those rental properties, come to ZRA, register for the correct taxes so that you benefit from these beautiful provisions that the government has put in place.
WAPA, we also have small businesses in the mining sector. I am ngakabepo banjipani my incentives that apply to small scale miners.
Okay, so for small scale miners, they haven't been left out. There are also tax incentives for those that are involved in artisanal and small scale mining. So the tax threshold for artisanal small scale mining turnover tax has been increased from 800,000 kwacha to 5 million kwacha. So what this simply means is that they can now register under turnover tax, and this will now lessen the administrative costs they do not have to spend so much money when it comes to ensuring that maybe they employ people that will be taking care of their books and also ensure that they are filing in a more regular manner. So with the turnover tax, it is easier for them, in other words, and this is an advantage for them because it means they will not spend so much money on administrative costs, and that is an incentive that is there for the artisanal and small-scale mining sector.
Okay. And the 2026 incentives also focus on voluntary compliance. Could you kindly elaborate more on this one, Pelone?
Okay, Alice. So there are two issues that we need to focus on when it comes to voluntary compliance. So there's been a cry from taxpayers out there saying, no, the penalties are too high. Excuse me, ZRA is taxing us too much, and then they're giving us all these penalties. So what we're saying is the first thing that has happened in the 2026 incentives for the budget is that the penalties have been reduced. They have been reduced from 5% to 0.5%. Imagine that. So the government has listened and it has put in place provisions to make it easy for voluntary compliance. Then the second thing is voluntary disclosure program. The last time we were here, we spoke so much about it. So we are saying, mukazileta mwene wake, mwasikambira kuti mnapanga ma omissions, you made some mistakes, you made some errors in your tax declarations, come to ZRA. As long as you come to ZRA before ZRA detects that there are issues on your account, you are going to benefit from a penalty waiver so that you are allowed to pay only the principal amounts. So that is the good provisions that have happened for small businesses and for everybody else, because for the voluntary disclosure program, it is catering for small businesses, individuals, companies, even other organizations like NGOs and all those that haven't been doing the correct thing. So this is the time to come and correct your tax affairs with us. Come before we come to you.
Ata kulibeti nienze munjira, nienze ofuna bwera. The local content allowance has been expanded to milk and raw hides and skins. Why is this significant?
Okay, so this is very important. So the 2% local content allowance, which applies to income earned from value addition, has been extended to dairy products which are processed, such as yogurt and cheese, and also to raw hides and skins for leather value chain. So this incentive it already applied to crops such as tomatoes, mangoes, cassava, sorghum. So extending it strengthens our local processing, it will support manufacturing, it will create jobs. Earlier we mentioned to say what is the importance of this tax incentive. So when we see that these sectors are being empowered through this tax incentive, it will also allow for job creation. It will also allow to say that now more exports can be done in a cheaper manner for these industries. So the beneficiaries are those that are dealing in dairy processing, those that are dealing in leather and agro processing businesses, as well as the SMEs.
Okay. In case you are just joining us, you are watching Tax Chat, and today we are looking at 2026 tax incentives, and helping us look at that is PELONE and WAPA from Zambia Revenue Authority, who are senior tax consultants. For now, we go on a short break. We'll be right back. Don't change the channel.
Today, you probably helped save a life. Or perhaps helped keep a watchful eye on a neighborhood. Today, you probably helped put food on someone's table. Or help build a road that leads to a destiny. You may have even helped shape the minds of our future. By paying your taxes, you help keep critical medical staff in a job, a school to run, or a neighborhood safe and a whole lot more. Your taxes help Zambia become better for you and me. Zambia Revenue Authority. My tax, your tax, our destiny.
Welcome back. You are watching Tax Chat, and we are looking at 2026 tax incentives, and helping us look at that is PELONE and WAPA from the Zambia Revenue Authority. Yes, PELONE, there is also a VAT incentives for hydroelectrical electricity projects. Could you kindly explain further about this?
The government realizes that hydro projects take a long time to develop. For them to start making money, it takes some time. And because of that, VAT claim on imports has been for 7 years. So what has happened now is that with this realization to say they need to be able to be given time for them to actually start running, for them to actually start paying tax. So the government has extended from 7 years to 10 years for VAT claim on imports for hydroelectric projects.
What zero rating on means water for VAT?
Okay, so what this simply means, Alice, is that for men's piped water, it has moved from being VAT exempt to now being VAT zero rated. So this means that water suppliers, they can claim back VAT on input costs such as pipes, chemicals and energy. Under exemption, they could not recover these costs. This reduces their operating costs and it can ultimately lower the cost of services. So this is going to benefit the water utility companies. It's also going to benefit households as well.
Okay. Guidance is that effect January 2026, the government has increased custom duty on some projects while granting duty relief to strategic industries. Would you shed more light, and why has this change transpired?
So Alice, it is very important to note that higher import duties on certain finished dairy products such as powdered milk, cheese protects local producers. But then at the same time, duty-free treatment for machinery like milk pasteurization equipment and power transmission infrastructure supports local production and industrial growth. So there's been a balance here, and this balance is there so that it protects both domestic industries and whilst also promoting investments. So those that can benefit from this is the local manufacturers and dairy processors, energy and infrastructure investors. So we're saying we want to strike a balance here. Whilst benefiting our local investors, we're also encouraging others to come and invest in this. That is why this provision has been put in place.
Okay. Has there been any amendments to the law regarding the incentives surrounding different abled individuals in form of employment regarding their emoluments?
Yes, Alice, so there's been amendment to the law surrounding differently abled individuals, and the annual allowable deduction per employee with a disability, it's been increased from 2,000 kwacha to 2,500 kwacha. So this incentive, it's promoting inclusiveness when it comes to employment. It's also there so that it reduces the tax burden further. It will increase allowable deductions, also strengthens the corporate social responsibility. So this is going to benefit all the employers that are practicing this incentive, and it's also going to benefit persons with disabilities. Yes.
Nanganichani income tax has Nanganichan income by private investment funds being exempted from remitting income tax.
It's very simple. We're encouraging that these investment funds should reinvest more capital, because when they do that, It will make Zambia more attractive for investments, and it will also support private sector growth. So it will benefit both us and the investors. That is why it has been put in place. Yes, and the beneficiaries to this are the investment funds and fund managers, and also the economy at large. Both me and you will benefit from this incentive, because when the investment funds do not pay the income tax, it means that money they were supposed to pay, they are going to reinvest it in the capital, and it will make them operate better.
Takamba, pali 2026 tax incentives, takamba kuti talondolola kuli viewers kuti nichani na importance yakaena na benefits yakaena. Maybe mukulondolola muli ibivonse as we conclude. What is your word to the viewers out there? I'll begin with you, PELONE.
Okay. Firstly, we are saying formalize your businesses, because it is very difficult for you to benefit from something if you are not counted, you are not known. How is it that you're going to benefit from all these beautiful incentives? We've talked about what incentives are. Like we started, we talked about the rebates, the reduction in certain taxes, and some people get tax, or the tax gets removed away altogether. So what we are saying is that such incentives, there is a reduction in payment for penalties for turnover tax. We've said from 5% it has been reduced to 0.5%. We have talked about laws on turnover tax, the small businesses, those on rental. We are saying from 1,000 kwacha, that threshold has been increased to 2,500. How are you going to benefit if you are not counted? Please formalize these businesses. If there are any omissions that were made, any errors, any mistakes, come forward. Come to ZRA. Tisakumanine munjira, please. Fikani ku ZRA, mutiuze vevina lubana, so that we correct that situation. We waive off those penalties, and you get into a time to pay agreement so that you pay off the rest of the Congoles that you have with us. Then we're also talking about smart invoice. We are saying we have officers on the ground doing enforcement activities to ensure that you are utilizing, because smart invoice, it is law. For those registered for VAT, you are mandated to be on smart invoice. So if you are not using smart invoice and we catch up with you, it will not be good. So please do the right thing. Use a smart invoice. As a taxpayer, I will come to you and I should request for a smart invoice, so that we all contribute to the growth of this beautiful country we call Zambia. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think I am very glad that it is important to always use a smart invoice. Vame akambira ati kulibe kukumanira njira ati wene nzo kubwela olo nzo funa obwela nemanje kulivame benzo vachitika. It is important that you use a smart invoice. Your concluding remarks, Wapa.
Okay, so I believe my colleague has already said much. So my addition will just be, if there are any areas in which my viewers base, let them go to the nearest office so that they get clarity. You get clarity and understand your tax obligations, so that you ensure that you are compliant. And I will also add to say they can send emails to our email address, which is advice@zra.org.zm. You can also reach us on our toll-free line, which is 4111, and you can also go to our website. Our website is www.zra.org. So by ZRA website, you'll find so much information. These days, I want to inspire my phone, my website, by internet. You'll see the information that is there. There's a lot of information there for our taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wapa and PELONE. It's always a pleasure having you on Tax Chat.
It's always nice to be here. We love to inform our taxpayers, so it's a privilege to actually share this information.
Thank you so much. We've come to the end of the show. I believe you've learned one or two things about the topic of focus we had today, the 2026 tax incentives, and those that helped us today is PELONE and WAPA from the Zambia Revenue Authority. Don't forget to tune in again next time, same place, same time. Remember, it's my tax, your tax, our destiny.